Hey there, it's Aja McClanahan with Principles of Increase, where I help you explore and discover how to increase in different areas of your life. And I am back today talking about what I wish I would have known before I decided to buy property in the Dominican Republic. So, for those of you who might be new to this video, I actually moved to Puerto Rico about a year and a half ago. So, I am broadcasting right now from the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. And shortly after I moved here, I actually started the process to buy a pre-construction condo in the Dominican Republic. So got here to Puerto Rico, was like, wow, the Caribbean is awesome. Let me get another place in the neighboring island. And so the goal is to have it as an investment and potentially go back and forth. And if I like DR enough, maybe I will relocate there after I'm done here in Puerto Rico. But without further ado, I want to talk to you about some things I think you should also do if you're looking at getting property in Dominican Republic or anywhere in the Caribbean. This is a good, solid process that I wish I would have gone through. So let's talk about the first thing that I wish I would have done. And I always say I'm ready to get started, but I'm not. I want to say that before I go through this whole list, I'm actually pretty happy with the process. I'm hopeful. I believe things will pretty much go according to plan, but there's always that. I don't know if this has happened to you, but almost every time I've purchased property, I'm like, oh, why did I do this? And then it turns out fine. So hopefully I will continue on that streak of being very fortunate. So this is not in any way to say, oh, I wish I would not have purchased property there, but I wish I would have known a little bit more. But that being said, I think everything's going to be okay. So the first thing I wish I would have done before I got this property was understood that I can actually negotiate with developers. And I'm talking about these are pre-construction condos, villas, so not existing structures. So in that process, you're actually going to be working directly with a developer. And so you can actually negotiate certain terms of your contract. So you can negotiate a certain amount of a down payment. You can, in some cases, if the developer will allow you to insert additional clauses into your contract, so maybe you can pay according to certain milestones when they maybe break ground, they get certain permissions to, or what do you call it? What is it called when you're going through the building process? Permits. That's what it is. When you get permits to start like your plumbing, your electrical, so on and so forth. Everything is not necessarily set in stone. So if your builder says we want 50% down, you can say, well, maybe can we do 30% down and then do payments over the next couple of years for another 30%. And then upon delivery, then you pay the rest off. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And I didn't know that. I just took the contract as is, even though I had a lawyer to go over it. I wish that lawyer would have advocated for me and my partner a little bit more, but I just didn't know that was possible. So anyway, that's point number one. And okay, so the next thing I wish I would have done was explored other areas of the island. I am purchasing property in Punta Cana, which is it's actually a really nice touristy area. And depending on how you like to travel, I like to be where the people are, where like regular life is. I'm not so much of I don't target really touristy areas, but in this case, I felt like Punta Cana was a good option for a few reasons. I'm not going to go into that now, but it seems to me a pretty safe, kind of Americanized place where, for me, I think your investment is going to be secure. However, that being said, I have spent some time in the Caribbean and I feel like I have a higher comfort level, so I'm okay going into the campo or the country, or some remote town and on the island of DR, and probably any other island in the Caribbean at this point. And so I wish I would have explored areas like Puerto Plata. I think there's Sosua, there is the capital, Santo Domingo. So there are a lot of different areas where you can buy property. And in some cases, especially if you go like into the mountains or remote areas, you can get property that is a lot less expensive. I got trucks going by. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but anyway, next thing I wish that I had done was understood what my objective was. So when I got this property, I was just like, I want to get a place in the DR. And you really have to decide, are you looking to live vacation or invest, or do all three. And I think for me, I'm actually looking to do all three. So from a perspective of living, this property will give me a home base where I can actually scout out other properties or other structures, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I also am looking to vacation and visit the island frequently, so I'll use the property for that, the condo that I'm getting for that. And then lastly, I want to talk about investing. If you're going to use a property in Dominican Republic for investing, you should know your goals. And I figured out that there is quite a bit of saturation going on. There are tons of condos and apartments going up. So if you're going to use it for Airbnb, just know the market is saturated, and you may not always get the highest rates, but I'm okay with that because I saw this more as an appreciation play. So one thing that you can count on so far, unless the market changes, is that your property will appreciate after a while. So I have seen that since I've started visiting the island in 2016. So it seems like that pattern is going to continue. So I wish I had known my investment goals, and I hope you will do the same if you decide to get property there. The next thing I wish I would have done was considered existing structures. So I am getting this condo. I signed the contract back in 2023, and the delivery is scheduled for 2026. So it's quite a bit of time. However, it works out because I have an interest-free plan from the builder, so I don't need to have a credit score. I don't need to borrow money from a bank. I can take delivery of the condo and own it cash. So that's pretty exciting. With existing structures, you do have to have all the cash at one time, or be able to finance your property. I wish I would have looked at land as well, because I understand that you can get land very inexpensively and you can build. And building there is still a process, but you may be able to get more bang for your buck, so to speak. I have heard of people buying land and putting up, maybe 4 units, 8 units at a time, and it's more economical and you get to make more money. So that's not saying that I won't do it in the future. I wish I would have done it this time around. However, again, I have a home base where I can explore these options for the next time. So the other thing I wish I would have done is maybe talk to more people who had bought property or who were in the process of buying property. Since I signed my contract, I actually have been running into quite a few people who bought property on the island, and so far all the stories seem okay, kosher, legit. So I'm not concerned about getting scammed or anything like that. But it would have been nice to just talk to more people again to get ideas of what I can do better in the process. There are Facebook groups that you can check out about expats moving to Punta Cana. You can go on Reddit threads. And I want to put in a word of caution. I wish I would have done it, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because sometimes when you do so much research, you can get what's called like paralysis analysis. So you do some research, but don't do so much when you're scared to do anything. But just know that there are ways that you can find out more about the process of buying in the Dominican Republic, because there's just tons of information and testimonials and people who share their stories online. So the next thing I wish I would have done before I got my property in Punta Cana was understood better the standards of professionalism in the Caribbean. Like I said, I signed on that contract almost the minute that I hit Puerto Rico. So I had spent some time in the Caribbean going back and forth, but living here is definitely different when you have to deal with contractors, real estate agents, lawyers. So learning how business is done here has been a little bit frustrating, but again, I'm glad I've done it. Nothing catastrophic has happened, but just know that if you're coming from the US or some European country or someplace where business is like a little more fast-paced, just know that it's different here. And don't be scared. Like I was, every time something took too long, I'm like, it's a scam, it's a scam, it's a scam. It's not always a scam, it's just how business is done here. So I want to encourage you, if you have started that process or you're looking to start that process, it's just one of those things that you have to deal with, and take comfort knowing that many other people have experienced the same issues. And the last thing that I wish I would have known about before I got my place in Punta Cana was more about how Caribbean infrastructure works and culture. Not so much culture, but maybe like just administrative processes and things like that. I said in the prior point that things just take a long time, but there's also this idea of infrastructure that can impact your quality of life. And I've done other videos about this, but essentially, when you come to the Caribbean, the food prices are going to be higher because most islands don't grow their own food, it's imported. You're going to have taxes. Also, the roads, you may have more repair bills for your cars because you are just driving on rough terrain, the potholes, things of that nature. So you want to set aside some more in your budget for maintenance things. Also, if you're going to be living close to the beach, you've got salt water, you've got humidity, and then you've got salt water and the humidity. So that's something definitely to keep in mind when your appliances are affected or things kind of just experience more corrosion. So that being saying all that to say that there is a little bit of an extra cost that you have to be mindful about. Oh, I forgot it. Fuel prices, food prices. Well, I said food prices, but also, the cost of fuel to get around. Because again, you're probably going to spend a little bit more because the prices are higher. But again, if you're going in hilly terrain and doing all this like off-roading or even on-roading, then things are just going to cost a little bit extra in some regards. So your property will be inexpensive. You may have some tax exemptions. You have to think about the cost of living, food, fuel, and maintenance on your appliances, your cars, and whatever else, the humidity and things like that can affect. So anyway, if you are interested in buying property in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic or any place in the Caribbean, I have some links below where you can contact me and I am able to connect you with someone who can help you through that process. So hopefully this video was informative and hopefully you yourself are thinking about coming to the Caribbean. Despite all the things that I talk about that are kind of like the cons, there are also plenty of pros. And so hopefully you're thinking about doing something fun, something amazing, and something that's going to improve your quality of life. And hopefully this video will help you in that process.